What is this dark thing under the nail? And there are holes underneath and inside of the nails? You'll be surprised, but this set of nails actually looks like this, like a regular set of nails after 3 weeks. But looks can be deceiving. The shape looks pretty good and the nails are not really falling off. Well, except for this one with a deep crack. This one is about to break. Let's take a look on the other side of the nails and we will notice some hollow spaces between the nail and the product. And this is where all the dirt gets stuck. Also on some nails, the underside of the nails looks so thick, which is definitely extreme for this kind of length. If we take a look from the side view, we will also notice that there is too much product near the cuticle area. But to get a better understanding of what exactly is wrong with these extensions, we need to file off the color first. Hello guys, I'm Anastasia, international nail expert and educator. I will be using ceramic bead with green abrasive mark to file off the product. I think they used polygel to do these extensions and supposedly dual forms, but I'm not sure yet. Also, it feels like there were many layers of color, which means some of this extra volume was because of the color and top coat application. Normally, when I'm filing off the product and there is a deep crack in the nail like this, I use glue or some other product to glue it back first. But this client assured me that she doesn't really feel any pain or discomfort even when I'm pressing on this zone. So I thought that maybe we can do without it. So first, I'm filing off the product from the opposite side where the crack is. And I have a feeling that natural nail underneath is broken too, but since she's saying it's not really hurting, hopefully it's below her nail bed area. Oh, I didn't expect it to fall off so easily. Actually, the crack was above her free edge area, which means it was supposed to hurt, but it wasn't. And also, since it fell off so easily, I could see some hollow space in there. So I think there was some lifting or maybe a big bubble. That's why eventually she had this crack on the side, but when the nail started to break, it was not really painful because the product was not adhered to the nail in this area anymore. But the rest of the product on this nail is definitely cured and not really lifting. So I assume only some parts of the product were lifting, or maybe they were not fully cured. There was a little lifted area along the sidewall, so now my goal is to file off all the product. Also, we're going to switch to another kind of product. I think I will be doing acrylic extensions. So now we need to make sure that we file off this product completely. Normally, whenever I use this ceramic bead with green abrasive mark, this one's pretty harsh. It's so quickly when I file off the product, especially polygel. But this time it takes so long to file off the color, so they whether use multiple layers or maybe they applied it too thick. That's why it's taking so long. That's why I was still hoping that maybe these nails do not look so bad under the color, because all this extra volume and thickness was mostly because of the color. But no, we can clearly see that there is product lifting along the sidewalls and mostly it's like in the corners. But the cuticle area itself, like in the middle, it's super clean. That means when the nail technician was doing the prep, they probably missed these important areas. They did a very good job on cleaning and nail prep the upper part of the cuticle area, but missed some important spots in the corners. This is a very common beginner mistake. So whenever you have product lifting near the cuticle or along the sidewalls, about 80%, the reason is you didn't do a nail prep very well in this particular area. If this small product lifting in the corners was the only lifting that we had on these nails, we could easily do fills. But our plans are also to change the shape, a little bit length. I'm going to use a different product, and also remember some suspicious things under the nails. So these are the reasons why we are filing them all off. One of the most popular questions in the comments is that why won't I soak off the product instead of filing it off? Well, For me, it's much faster and easier, but the most important reason here is that these are not acrylic nails. You cannot soak off hard gel and most polygels, so the only way to remove the product is to file it off. Honestly, at this point, I was not really expecting to find something extreme under the color or under the nails. I just thought that maybe there will be some product lifting near the corners, maybe near the cuticle area, and that's it. But no, we actually found something unusual. But first, we need to file off the pile of the color and the top coat. By the way, excessive color and top coat application, as long as it is on top of any hard product, will not really impact if it's going to lift or not. But if you apply too much, it is simply going to change the look of the nails. They're going to look thick, they're going to look bulky, and the original shape is also going to look different. As I was filing off the color on the thumb, I didn't really notice much product lifting near the cuticle or along the sidewalls. Unfortunately, most mistakes in the service have their price, which means if you do something wrong, it is going to impact some other things that you may not even expect. So remember how this nail looked like underneath? It was quite thick. Now take a look at this area now. Do you see this white bubble in the center? This is the hollow space without any product. So once I was filing closer to this area, I just lightly touch it, and this thin cover that was remaining on top simply flies away. So imagine this amount of area was without any product, while this is the most important area of the nail because this is where the apex is supposed to be. This is where we're supposed to have the thickest part of the product, but in reality we didn't really have any. So why did it happen? There are many reasons, and now it's not possible to know for sure, but my suggestion is that they probably used dual forms and they wanted to create a different kind of shape, like the nails that are going slightly upwards while this client's nails were going downwards, and that's why there was this hollow space. Or maybe they just didn't use enough product when filling this dual form, so that's why this large bubble occurred. Almost on each nail, I could see product lifting along the sidewalls. By the way, another reason of product lifting like this could be product application that is too close to the skin. Because with the cuticle area, it's quite easy, we can see it, so we can leave this little margin. But along the sidewalls, it's a bit more tricky. So sometimes we just get too close, so the product is slightly touching the skin, and that is inevitably going to cause product lifting. This product removal is not as easy or smooth as I thought it's going to be, but I have to admit there is something satisfying and relieving when you file it off, when you get rid of all this old product, especially the product lifting, and then we will have a naked natural nails and we are going to prep them and do new extensions. Obviously, I enjoy every part of this process, but first we need to file it all off. And looks like on this nail, instead of white spots like we normally see with the product lifting, I can see some dark spots. So why are they dark? Product lifting is like a pocket. This is the area where the product is not adhered to the nail anymore. And in this pocket, anything, absolutely anything, can get stuck. Mostly it's just some moisture, dirt, which may leave stains and change its color after a few days. That's why sometimes they appear like this, something dark. Some clients are terrified when they see this because they are afraid that this is some kind of disease. Well, in this particular case, it's not. This is just some dirt that is stuck in the product lifting, but this is the reason why product lifting is bad. It's not only about the fact that nails are about to fall off soon, but also anything may live there, including bacteria, which may leave some green stains on the nail, and I have a couple videos on my channel with cases like this. I have a strong feeling that besides improper nail preparation and maybe product application, this product for some reason also was not fully cured, because not only near the sidewalls or corners, I can see these white bubbles in the center of the nail. So the product is lifting not only near the cuticle, but almost everywhere. You see these white spots? It was simply a matter of time on when other nails were going to crack, peel, or break. Normally, if the product lifting, if this pocket was there for more than 1 week, you will see different colors and stains because we do everything with our hands and things, of course, get stuck there. She was pretty lucky that there were not really any stains on her natural nails, so once we removed all these pockets, all this dirt, her nails look pretty clean. I always leave the most fun part until the end, and this is exactly what I'm doing now. I'm filing off the product around the lifting because we need to file it all off, and once it's off, where the lifting is, the product is not holding on to the nail anymore, so it's simply going to separate and fly away. Please tell me I'm not the only one crazy here who really enjoys watching product lifting as it files off and fly away just like this. Goodbye! Now we can do the nail prep, so let's push back the cuticles with orange wood stick. Regardless of all the product lifting and other troubles we've seen on her nails, I have to say that her natural nails are in a pretty good condition. When pushing back the cuticles, we need to separate the skin from the nail plate, so there will be this little space that later we are going to clean, whether with implement or, like in my case, with electric nail file, since I will be doing dry manicure. Remember these areas with the product lifting that were mostly along the sidewalls or in the corners? Well, this is very common among the beginners, so when we're doing dry manicure prep, sometimes we're missing these corners because they're a little tricky to work with. I mean, the cuticle area is okay, the sidewalls are also pretty simple, but in the corner, it's kind of hard to tell how we're supposed to clean it. But this is the area where we usually have more dead cuticle tissue that we're supposed to clean. By the way, if you would like to learn how to use electric nail file, do product removal, as well as dry manicure, I have an online course which is perfectly suitable for beginners. It's called eFile 101. I will leave the link below so you can learn more about it and enroll. Meanwhile, I'm trimming the dead tissue with manicure scissors. You can clearly see it as this white band after you did a prep with electric nail file. This is how you will know which areas are safe to trim and which ones you should avoid. On some nails, I still have a little leftovers of the product, so I'm going to file it off with a hand file, this time 180 grit file. This is the damaged nail, the one with the deep crack, so I'm trying to be super careful when removing the rest of the product. Then I will use a 180 grit buffer too to smooth out the surface. I told you that I like to leave the most fun parts to the end, so I always do the hard part at the beginning. So I decided to start with this nail too. So I'm going to do extensions using regular forms, and I will be using acrylic. It's been a little while since I did acrylic extensions, and I have to say I missed this amazing smell of monomer, so I'm super excited I finally get to work with it. I feed the form and point it at the edge since we will be doing almond shape. Then I apply dehydrator, non-acid primer, and start the application. We decided to use this white with a slight shimmer acrylic because we are going to use a cat eye later, and for this color it's better if you have a light background. I usually start with the free edge, so I build it first. Once the product is a little set, so it's not super wet anymore, I blend it onto the nail because remember there is this damaged area of your nail, so I don't really want to work with a super liquid product. And then I build the shape of the nail, make sure that it's even and symmetrical. Since many of you agreed in the comments that you enjoy longer videos, this is going to be one of them. And I'm going to show you almost the entire process of product application, so you will have an idea of how long it actually takes me to apply the product. And with acrylic, I have to say it's not really fast. I always take my time. I work with acrylic until the very last second it's still possible. Until the product allows me to move it, to press it, to fix it, I'm going to, because I want to make the shape as crisp, as perfect as I can, so later I will not need to waste too much time on filing and shaping. When the product is almost set, my brush is almost dry too. Do not use monomer when the acrylic is almost set now. Dry brush will work just perfectly here. I just want to make sure that it's all perfectly smooth. Then I take another bead and I'm going to build the apex and the second part of the nail. Another common question regarding acrylic application is how many beads are you supposed to use when doing acrylic nails? Honestly, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's cool if you can do it within 1, 2, or 3 beads, because less beads you use, the faster your work is going to be. But if you need to use 5 or 10 or even 20 beads to make this nail perfect, I think it's still worth it. Do you see this area on the right side now? There's product missing and we can clearly see that because this is white product. So I took small additional bead and added it. And then I take another one near the cuticle and finish the product application. So normally I use 3 beads, but sometimes I can take some small additional ones if I see that something is missing. I think it's more important to look at the overall application at the nail and make sure that it's perfect and you have enough product everywhere rather than to stick to a certain amount of beads. It also depends on the experience. So if you have less experience with acrylic, you may use more beads, which is totally fine. I also have a feeling that we don't have enough product in the center, so I'm going to use a clear acrylic instead. I could use white too, but it set up quite slowly and clear ones is much faster, so I decided to use this one. It was simply my preference. You don't really need to seal white color if you decide to do white nails. You can also use it for French nails. So after a few minutes, while the nail is still a little soft, I'm going to pinch the nail. Always be careful with that one, don't overdo it. Then we proceed to the next nail, and as I'm doing acrylic nails, I have so many memories, especially when using white acrylic, because this is the technique that you use when doing competition nails. We usually start with a free edge with the white color and then we build French nails. Also, acrylic was the first product I've ever learned how to work with, and for the first 2 years I was doing acrylic nails only. Later I learned how to use hard gel and other products too, but acrylic obviously is forever in my heart. Just want you to know, guys, I started doing nails when I was 15 years old, so besides these memories of applying acrylic, it's basically like your teenage and almost childhood memories. Looking back, I have to say that this was a smart decision, even though I wasn't thinking about it like that. I just randomly picked acrylic because this was the product my nail technician was using back then. But once you master acrylic, it is going to be so much easier for you to do hard gel or to do polygel. But we didn't have polygel product back then. So if you ask me today, Anastasia, what is the best product to start with if I want to master nail sculpting? I would say if you're really serious about it, I would really consider acrylic or polygel, because hard gel will seem so much easier after you know how to work with these two products. But please, you have to promise me, regardless of the product you choose and the technique you are going to learn first, always remember about protecting yourself. Always use gloves. You can see me in the gloves all the time on my channel, and I really do use them all the time. Even when I'm doing swatches, even when I'm practicing nail art or cleaning out my closet with gels, because there is always a possibility of the product touching your skin, and the more often and repeatedly you do it, the more exposure we will have to our skin and possibility of allergic reactions. As excited as I was to finally do the acrylic application, I have to say that this particular acrylic is a bit annoying because it's white with a shimmer and it's quite slow setting. So I need to do quite a lot of moves to put it in the place. And remember, I told you I work with acrylic until it fully sets. So if it sets slowly, that means I need to work for a longer time. That's why mostly I prefer fast setting acrylics, because they give me more discipline, if you know what I mean. They do not let me play with it and drag it around for such a long time. So I just finish the work faster because I have to, like I have no choice. Finally, we can take off the form and pinch the nails if we need to, and this is what they look like after product application. Then we need to do filing and shaping, and I prefer using thin wooden files to do the sidewalls because you can easily reach all these areas along the sidewalls and not hurt the client, because some people have very sensitive areas along the sidewalls and I definitely don't want to hurt them. And then I will be using 180 grit file to file and shape the nails from the top. Also, I'm going to make sure that the shape is on point, that it is identical on every single nail. Originally, this client had almond nails, so we were going to do almost the same shape, just a little longer. So I was really trying and doing my best to do this perfect almond. But once I was done with filing and shaping and looked at the whole picture, honestly, I was a little upset because I thought for her hands and for this length, I probably shouldn't have made them so pointy. I really wish I made them like more oval at the free edge. Because for this pointed almond shape style, I think it will look a little better if we made them longer or not as pointy. But anyways, now we have white nails, which is nice because it is going to work as the background for most colors. And first, we are going to use a silver cat eye. I'm going to magnetize it from both sides. Recently, I really like to use this big magnet because it's really strong, so it's just easier to bring all these shiny particles to the center. When applying cat eye gel polish, if it's semi-transparent like this one, it's totally fine if you apply it a little thicker than usual because we cannot do 2 coats. But don't overdo it, obviously. It's not supposed to be super thick application, so it won't leak into the cuticle area or along the sidewalls. Silver cat eye colors also look very different depending on the background. Like if you have nude nails or transparent nails, they're going to look a little different. So white background was on purpose because this is not the entire design we're about to do. Besides cat eye, we're going to use blue jelly color on top. This is such a cool idea, especially if you don't have many cat eye colors. You can have just a silver one and then use different jelly or semi-transparent colors on top, but make sure they are not too intense and you do not apply them too thick so the cat eye underneath will still be visible. But the tricky part about using multiple colors is that you need to apply this silver cat eye as close to the cuticle as possible, and then you need to do the same with the color but without flooding the cuticles. And if you did a good job on the nail prep, then you won't have any problems with it. If you can't get too close to the cuticle or to the sidewalls with the brush from the jar, you can always use a detailer brush with the same color. Finally, we seal it with a glossy top coat, and I'm not sure if the camera is really showing all this glow of the cat eye in the center, but it is really something. Let me know, guys, what do you think, and thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time here on my channel, consider subscribing, as I post nail art tutorials just like this one every week. See you in my next one. Goodbye!